Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We have a live presentation by ETG on Agro Chemicals. Our presenter today is Mr. John Mutenge. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Ray, and all the viewers and listeners.
Great, so thank you. You can go ahead with your presentation, please.
Thank you very much. Could we have the first slide, please? Great. I welcome you all to the ETG presentation. ETG is more or less a one-stop solution for farmers, as we stock a lot of products, starting from fertilizers, now agrochemicals, and then we also do farm equipment, animal dips, as well as maize seed. So I'll take you through the agrochemicals part quickly, and then we can see the way forward. May I have the next slide, please? Okay, so ETG Imports Zambia Limited is currently one of the biggest suppliers in Zambia for farm solutions, which are agrochemicals, farm equipment, and agro services. We are in so many districts, as we have established depots there, and we have people to attend to almost everybody around the country. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So under the agrochemical section, there's some echo. We have a range of products. A range of products starting from herbicides, insecticides, nematicides, fungicides, adjuvants, knapsack sprayers, as well as we offer technical support or technical services to the farmers. So let's go into the nitty-gritties and see what ETG offers in details. Next slide, please. We'll start with herbicides. With herbicides, we have herbicides in two categories. We stock non-selective herbicides, which we use initially as a cleanup on our fields. You do not need to spray on a crop. Otherwise, being non-selective, it's just normal that everything else will be killed. So we do stock Sweep 410 SL, Sweep Pro, and Parasuper. All these, when you see them, then you know they are non-selective herbicides. Next slide. Still with the herbicides, we also stock selective herbicides for various crops like cereal crops. Just to mention a little bit, maybe one or two people may want to understand what cereal crops are. We are talking about maize, wheat, rice, sorghum, millet. All those are cereal crops. So we do stock a range of herbicides which are selective to the weeds in these mentioned crops. The herbicide will be pre-emergence or post-emergence. So we also do supply selective herbicides for leguminous crops like groundnuts, cowpeas, pigeon peas, beans, and so on. Then besides that, we also stock herbicides for horticultural crops. I know most of the farmers or growers think vegetable herbicides are never available. Otherwise, we do supply herbicides in different forms or for different target pests on vegetables. So we have a range. We will supply pre-plant vegetable herbicides. We do also supply post-emergent selective vegetable herbicides. We also do supply herbicides for fruit trees. For some of you who are producing crops from orchards, you are never left alone. So we have various herbicides that will help you clean up the orchard other than going in manually. Some of you are doing lawns. Lawns are also essential in our lives. They make the environment, they make the environment look good, as well as keep other, natural aspects at bay. For example, you don't have dust around your place. It's cool. The soil around the house is protected, and so on and so forth. So we do stock herbicides also that everybody else can use on the lawns. Then talking about lawns, subsequently we want to talk about ornamental plants. Ornamental plants like the trees you are planting around your yard just to make the place look beautiful. In case you need some herbicides to spray around those kind of plants, we also do stock herbicides to cover them. Next slide, please. From herbicides, we move to insecticides. ETG does supply a range of insecticides to cover different categories of insects or insect pests. The different categories are insects that chew our plants, insects that suck from our plants, insects that are soil-borne, insects that are household-based, as well as insects that parasitize our animals. For example, chewing insects are caterpillars. We have solutions, various solutions to control caterpillars in our crops. The best examples I could give you on caterpillars are 4-armyworm, the popular tomato leaf miner, which we all know scientifically as Tuta absoluta. So those are critical pests that we are facing at the moment in the country. So we have very good solutions for that kind of pests on our crops. Then sucking insects, insects like aphids, whiteflies. Sucking insects sometimes may not only be seen from direct damage, but indirect as well when they transmit diseases like those viral related diseases. So you want definitely to control the sucking insects before they transmit the viruses. So it's very, very important that we control the pests before they transfer the problem, as well as wrinkling the leaves on our vegetables. After they've sucked all the fluid out of the leaves, the leaves wrinkle. So we have solutions for such, and it's a range of herbicides that you will find at ETG. An example that we have is Aceta. Then still talking about insect pests, we also have solutions for soil-borne insects like cutworms, grubs, beetles, and so on and so forth. So we protect the crop from day one. If anything, even before planting, we would want to protect the seed up to the time the crop is being harvested. So this is just to make sure the yields of the crop are increased or maintained, and the quality of the crop or commodity is also maintained and not, lost. So many losses, are incurred by the farmer because of the same pests. However, we also have pests affecting us directly. For example, flies in our houses, mosquitoes, fleas, tampons, mites. All those are, pests that affect us directly. So what happens is we have solutions for such problems as well, which everybody else can apply without any issues. For example, there is VOS. VOS is a pesticide that you can spray on veggies as well as on crops. I mean, on other crops, plus household insect control. It will do mosquitoes, flies, mention them. Yeah. Then the same VOS will also do pests which are found in animal housing units. As they parasitize, animals, we want to control them. For example, fleas are a serious nuisance. Lice, mites, all those, they're a nuisance when it comes to, animal welfare. Yeah. Next slide, please. Our crops do not only suffer insects, we also have some indirect damage or effect that we get on our crops. The biggest example would be disease, which comes in form of fungi, bacteria, viral. So all those are indirect. Remember, we looked at aphids that transmit viral diseases. So that is one of them. Then we have fungi that is, of course, coming through pathogens. They could be in the soil or on an old crop or so. So we have solutions for fungal diseases, bacterial, on the crops. So we have them in different categories, as in preventative and curative. For example, we have preventive fungicides like Manco, Copper, Rover, just to prevent various fungal diseases, taking advantage of the situation that a farmer can easily avoid high expenses of firefighting a disease. So we bring to your attention the fungicides. Copper, of course, also has got some good effect on bacterial diseases. So farmers need to know that it's a very good thing, and it's helpful. Then for curative fungicides, we've got an array of them, starting from powdery or powder formulations to liquid formulations. So just to mention a few, we've got Warrior, Coroville, Topstar. All those are curative fungicides on crops. So we have fungicides that will control diseases on your cereal crops, leguminous crops, and most especially horticultural crops like vegetables, fruit trees, sometimes even on lawns and on ornamental plants. So most of you would say, why apply control or apply something to control or combat disease on lawns? You want the lawn to remain clean, so you would as well want to apply a fungicide here and there. After all, a lawn is grass, so it also suffers diseases. Next slide, please. ETG Inputs also supplies high quality knapsack sprayers. with 16-liter capacity and 20-liter capacity. So we do stock these all year round for farmers to access, and we make sure they are of good quality. We don't want farmers to have issues when it comes to knapsack sprayers. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, having mentioned pesticides, it is just imperative to know that we need to have tips on how to handle pesticides. Number one, the label carries a lot of information, and it's very, very important to read the label. Each fungicide has got its own, requirements. It has its own requirements or instructions. So with this in mind, let's not take it for granted that all the fungicides are the same. We should understand that each product has got its own, nitty-gritties and so on and so forth. Keeping pesticides and fertilizers away from children or anybody we suspect may abuse them is key. We need to protect our beloved ones, as well as the environment. So we need to understand that the pesticides are supposed to be kept under lock and key. Thirdly, we should avoid spillages at all times. We want to take care of the environment and not denature it. So by avoiding pesticide spillages, we are simply managing the environment and its future, protecting its future as well. So this is very, very important. We should always keep this at the back of our mind. Very important. A simple rule when you are using pesticides, or after using pesticides, it's very important to triple rinse the empty pesticide containers before they are disposed of. Just as you are also going to do the same when it comes to rinsing the knapsack sprayer, the same applies 3 times. It has been noted that when you triple rinse the container, empty pesticide container or knapsack sprayer, most of the residue is washed off from the containers. We should also make sure to dispose of empty containers of pesticides properly and not just throw them anyhow. You can imagine seeing somebody using the empty pesticide container as a feeding bottle or a drinking bottle at one point or the other. Those containers have got special material or plastic, if I may say so, of which it's hardened. I do not know exactly how many times, but more harder than the ordinary containers which you see carrying juice or cooking oil. And in that case, the container is even able to retain the pesticide within the material itself, such that even after a long time, when you reuse that container, the liquids or contents that will have been put in that container, after being tested, will show some traces of the pesticides. And that is how poisoning takes place in human beings, especially those reusing empty pesticide containers for for consumption of other beverages. Yeah. Talking on pesticides, ETG has now embarked on mobile sales. We have a truck that is going around the country, of course, delivering orders to agro dealers out there. So please be expecting stock to be, flowing through the agro dealers at your disposal. That is, if you can't access them from the depots directly. And thirdly, be on the lookout. There are times when the truck will be maybe, where some events are. So you may see a truck, branded ETG. Then it's ETG on the move, following the farmers everywhere they are, and anytime. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. I don't know if at all I can take questions. If I'm able to take questions, let me have them now.
All questions, please, to be posted on the Woover chat. All questions on the Woover chat, and we'll take them from there throughout the course. Mr. Mutenga will also
we are not able to view any chats on Woover app as well.
Please note we are live. Okay, Mr. John, any questions which will come up on the Woover chat as well. These can be answered after the presentation up to 6 months.
Great. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening and viewing the presentation. It's really been a pleasure for me and the team, and I only hope the listeners and viewers have managed to learn one or two things from the presentation. I think from me, Ray, I think I'm done. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Mutenga, and we'll be in touch soon.
No problems.
Yeah.